new class. I'm super excited to welcome you back to Master Builders Online Academy. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not done so. And ensure that you turn on the post notification bell so that anytime we upload mind-blowing content, guys, you will be notified. And also don't forget our policy here. You must not skip any part of this video. This is for your own advantage. And ensure that you avoid every unnecessary distractions. Finally, don't forget to replay this video over and over again if you have any parts you do not understand when you watch this video for the very first time. Now also, don't forget to pay close attention. Avoid every unnecessary distraction anytime you are set to watch and to learn new concepts from this platform. Guys, let's get to work. On the board, we are still looking at second order differential equation. This is when we want to start providing solutions to second order differential equation. We have also looked at case 1, introduction to case 1. Alright? When we say when f of x at the right hand side of the equation is 0. Now, for this case 1, listen carefully. The solution to the second order differential equation depends solely on the roots that are obtained. You heard me right. For second order differential equation under case 1, when f of x is equal to 0, the general solution depends highly on the roots of the equation. So, if the roots of the equation, the two values you have, are equal roots, then you have a different solution. When you have the two roots to be real but different, you have a different solution. Equally, when you have complex results for the roots of the equation, you equally have different solutions. So what controls the second order differential equation general solution is the roots of the equation. So therefore, since we know that we have varieties of roots that are possible here, all we just need to do is to take them case by case. And when we treat them case by case, but understand in exam, you are the one to identify whether these ones they are equal. So you need to solve first before you will be able to ascertain whether the answer you have they are real and equal, real and different, or complex roots. But while we are here now, we don't need to do that because we already stated on the board the case we are looking out for. But in exam purpose, nobody will state it for you. But what will help you to know what you are dealing with or the formula to use is after you have successfully solved the quadratic equation, the roots you have will help you to ascertain whether you are dealing with real and different roots, real and equal roots, or complex roots. But now, let's start at the very beginning. Now, on the board, we have the first case that are being controlled by the roots. We said real and different roots. What we mean is that these two values will either be 2 and 3. They are real but different. Or minus 2, 3, or minus 2 minus 3, or 2 minus 3, or positive, positive. Or it can be any number. So these values that are here now, they are real but are different. So anytime you solve second order differential equation and you have two values like this and the values are different entirely, all you need to do is to make use of this formula. This is the formula that provides solution to second order differential equation where you have the two roots different. And so we call this M1, M2. So M1 is the first result you have, while M2 is the second result you have. And don't forget that A and B are what? Arbitrary constant. Now, let's get to work. So M is M1 or M2. Quadratic equation. Now, let's look at question number 1. On the board, we are asked to solve this square y over the x square plus 5dx over dy plus 5dy over dx plus 6y is equal to 0. Now, like I said, for you to solve this problem effectively, the given equation is equation 1. You will generate equation 2 and generate equation 3. That's all. From equation 1, you will generate equation 2. From equation 2, you will generate equation 3. And this is equation 3 that we already stated here. But equation 2 is the auxiliary equation. So the first thing you must do here, have you know that the right hand side of this second order differential equation is 0? all you need to do is to convert this particular equation to its equivalent auxiliary equation. Alright, so this is solution. Now auxiliary. The auxiliary equation is, now we understand earlier on that d square y over the s square is equal to m square. I'm not going to do this in other videos or in other examples, but I just want to remind you of what we are going to do. Then this y over dx is equal to m and y is equal to 1. Hope you still remember this. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So to convert any second order differential equation to what its auxiliary equation, all you need to do is to replace this by m squared, then plus 5 multiplied by the y over ds, and the y over ds is taken as m, plus 6 multiplied by y, and this will have 6 multiplied by 1, and 6 times 1 is 6, equal to 0. Now guys, what we just have here now is quadratic equation. And like I said earlier, you can use any methods to solve this quadratic equation. Alright? You can use factorization, you can use method of completing the square, you can use formula method, you can use graphical method, whichever method of your choice. When you know that anytime you are solving quadratic equation by factorization, let's assume you want to use factorization, okay? So in this class, we will be using factorization method, except the equation is not factorizable. We can use another method, okay? So here, to use factorization method, all you need to do is to multiply the leading term with the constant. M squared multiplied by the constant with the one without m. This will have given us 6m squared. Please, I may not be able to take much time to explain quadratic equation, but because this is not quadratic equation. So you can visit our page and go down to our playlist. Just search for what? Quadratic equation, where you will learn everything about quadratic equation. In fact, all the 4 methods I just mentioned in solving quadratic equation, you will find them there. Alright, you can learn more, learn and learn. Where we solve thousands of problems that will help you gain mastery in quadratic equation. For those who don't know how to solve quadratic equation, this will not be enough for you. So you need to go there and learn more. Alright? So the next thing we are quickly going to do is to look for 2 values such that their product will give us 6m squared and their sum will give us 5m. That's all. So just come here and create a table. Okay? So this is 6m squared. Okay? Now, I'll have 2 factors. 6 multiplied by 1 is 6. 2 multiplied by 3 is also 6. Now, when I add this together, I will have 7. And when I add this together, I will have 5. That means I will go with the one whose sum gives me the middle term. If the middle term here is 7, I will go with 6 and 1. But now that the middle term gives us 5, I will go what? With 2 and 3. That's all about this. It's as simple as this. So therefore, I'm going to replace 5m with 2m and 3m. So we'll have this as m squared plus 2m plus 3m plus 6 is equal to 0. All I just did now is to replace the middle term with 2 different terms. So that when you sum up those 2 terms together, it will give you the middle term back. So 2m plus 3m will give us 6. Now that we have been able to do this, the next thing we do is to group this term 2 by 2. Group the first 2 terms and group the last 2 terms. Between these 2 terms, first 2 terms, what is common? There is m here, and the second term is 2m. So it's only m that is common. Then I will put down m, open the bracket. M squared divided by m, I have m. Plus 2m divided by m, I have 2. That's what is left. Plus, which is this positive sign. This is 3m. M is in the first term, but m is not in the second term. That means m is not common. Now look at the number. This is 3, this is 6. And 3 is a factor of 6. That is to say 3 is common. Put down 3, just repeat what you have in the first bracket. That's all. Then equal to 0. The next thing we are quickly going to do is to what? Collect the multiplication factors. What do I mean by multiplication factors? Multiplication factors are those factors here that are outside the bracket. So you bring them together to form another new bracket. So now, what is the first number that is outside the bracket here? M. Which is this M outside the bracket. Another number outside the bracket here now is plus 3. Then I put down plus 3. close bracket. Then I can now pick one of these equal brackets. Plus 2 equal to 0. Understand that when these two brackets are not the same, something is wrong. You are very wrong, you are not correct. You must ensure that once you factorize, what you have in the first bracket is exactly, not even a change of sign. It's exactly the same. Okay? Now, at this point, all we need to do, understand that mathematically, for the product of two functions, or the product of two numbers to be 0, one of them must be 0. Now we are going to use probability. We don't know whether it is the first term that will give us 0 or the second term. So we are going to assume either the first bracket is equal to 0 or the second bracket is equal to 0. This is it. Now all we need to do now is to make this sort of formula. M is equal to, now as we make every sort of formula, we take plus 3 across. As plus 3 crosses from left to right, it becomes minus 3. That's 0 minus 3, and that's minus 3. Or as m also crosses as minus 2 plus 2 crosses from what? The left to right, it also becomes minus 2. Therefore, m is equal to minus 3 or minus 2. These are the two results we have. It therefore shows that where m1 is equal to minus 3 and m2 is equal to 2. Why do I decide to go with this? Because the results I have here now, they are real and different roots. Their results are not, they don't have the same magnitude. Is that correct? They do not have the same magnitude. This is minus 3, this is minus 2. Assuming we have minus 3, it will belong to another category. But here now, we have real roots and different roots. Now, for real root and different roots, the general solution, just recall, final answer will have become AEM1x plus BEM2x. It's as simple as this. All I just need to do here, guys, is to impute or substitute the value of M1. What is M1? Minus 3x plus B. What is M2? Minus 2x. This is the answer to this particular question. Guys, you see how simple this thing is? This is the answer. So we are going to solve 2 more questions for clarification and for better understanding. But don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not done so, and ensure that you turn on the post notification bell so that anytime we release mind-blowing content, even while you are asleep, you will be notified. Now guys, let's see how we can solve question 2 and 3 in addition to this problem we just solved. Now, very quickly, we have question number 2 on the board, and we are equally asked to solve d square y over dx squared minus 7 dy over dx plus 12y is equal to 0. So like I said, the given equation is equation 1. Now you need to deduce 2 more equations. Don't forget, when you know boundary conditions, you will not overstep your boundaries. And also, when you understand principles, you become a principal. Now, listen carefully. When we have this, the next thing we are quickly going to do to generate or deduce equation 2 is to what? Convert this equation 1 to auxiliary equation. It is that auxiliary equation that will become our equation 2. But don't forget, before you will convert any second order differential equation to its auxiliary form, you must ensure that the right hand side of the equation is 0. You must ensure that the right hand side of the equation is 0. Now it's taken. So now, to convert this to its auxiliary equation, the auxiliary equation is. So how do we get the auxiliary equation? All we just need to do here is this guy becomes m squared minus this guy is m and y is 1, which is what? 1 multiplied by 12, we have 12 equal to 0. This is our equation 2. If this is equation 1, given the equation. At this point, we see that the resulting outcome here is a quadratic equation. And for every quadratic equation, you must have 2 answers. Now that you have a quadratic equation, it's a matter of choice to use any method you know best. But here, we are using factorization method except for functions that are not factorizable. Now let's go. So first is to multiply this by this, and this would have given us plus 12m squared. Very quickly, we will look at how for two functions or two values, two factors of 12. This is 12m squared plus. And now understand that for the product of two factors to be positive, it is either both factors are positive, or both factors are negative. Don't forget this. For the product of two factors to be positive, it is either both are positive, or both are negative. So therefore, these are the 6 factors of positive 12. Now, among all of these 6 factors, we need only one to solve this equation. And which one do we know? The one whose sum will give us what? The coefficient of the middle term. And the coefficient of the middle term here is -7. So we begin to add all of this together and see the one that will give us -7. 12 plus 1 is 13. -12 minus this is -13. 6 plus 2 is 8. And -6 minus 2 is -8. 4 plus 3 is 7. And -4 plus -3 is -7. So you find out that it is the last factor among the 6 factors here. It is the last factor that the sum gives us the coefficient of the middle term, and the product gives us what? 12. That means all of these other ones, we will ignore them and make use of the one whose sum gives us the middle term. If this is understood, then we are good to go. All I just need to do now is to add m to this, add m to this. Now we are quickly going to replace the middle term with these 2 factors here. Now we have m squared minus 3m minus 4m plus 12 is equal to 0. You understand what we have just done now? Hope you have gotten it, right? Now, if this is taken, then the next thing is to consider the first 2 terms and also consider the last 2 terms. Now, between the first 2 terms, what is common? Only m. M squared here, m here. So put out m. M squared divided by m, we have m. Minus 3m divided by m, we have -3. When we multiply out this now, we get this back. Then this middle term is minus. Now, the first term here is 4m. The last term is 12, so m is not common. But check if 4 can divide 12. Of course, 4 is a factor of 12. That means 4 is common. Now that I know 4 is common, just repeat what I have in the first bracket. You are done. That's it. Or either -4m divided by -4, m is left, plus 12 divided by -4, you have -3. It's just like that. Okay? Now that we have successfully factorized this and we see that what we have in the first bracket equals to what we have in the second bracket, all we need to do here is to what? Collect the multiplication factors. Hope you can still remember what multiplication factors are here. The factors that are outside the bracket. And the first factor outside the bracket here is m. And the other factor outside the bracket is -4 into m minus 3. Pick one of the equal brackets, equal to 0. And don't forget also that for the product of 2 factors to be 0 or 2 functions to be 0, it is either one of the factors is 0. But we don't know the one that is 0, so we assume either the first is 0 or the second is 0. So therefore have m minus 4 is equal to 0 or m minus 3 is equal to 0. At this point, when we made m the standard formula, we're going to have m is equal to 4. As -4 crosses from left to right, it becomes +4. And as -3 crosses from left to right, it becomes +3. Therefore, m is equal to 4 or 3. Anyone can come first. You can decide to have 3 or 4. They are all the same. Alright? Anyone can come first. Now, at this point, it therefore shows that we are m. Now, look at the 2 values. Are they really? Yes. Are they different? Yes. So, therefore, I will now categorize it. This is 1 is 3, m2 is 4. Like I said, anyone can come first. You can take 4 as m1. You can take 3 as m1. Anyone can come first. Alright? So now, for real and different roots, the general solution to the second order differential equation is given by y is equal to a exponent m1 of x plus b exponent m2 of x. Now, what is m1? m1 is what? 3 plus b, and m2 is 4. This is the solution to this second order differential equation. Guys, don't forget, when you know principles, you become a principal. And also, when you understand boundary conditions, you will not overstep your boundaries. Guys, don't forget to always seek to understand the concept, not solving problems. When you know the principles, you can solve hundreds of problems on your own, even when we do not solve any, because you've already understand the concepts. So seek to understand, seek to know principles, seek to know the rules, the procedures, the steps, and all that you need to gain mastery is focus. Now, guys, let's look at question number 3. Now we have question number 3 on the board. We are asked to solve d square y over the x squared plus 3 dy over dx minus 10y all equal to 0. This is equation 1. Okay? As usual, first thing is to what? Note the given equation and take it as equation 1. Second thing is you need to deduce two different equations from this equation to get a final answer. First is to deduce the auxiliary equation from equation 1, and that will now become equation 2. Secondly, you will now deduce equation 3 from equation 2, which is the auxiliary equation, and which will become the general solution. Boundary conditions. When you know principles, you become a principal. Now let's get to work. So what do? The first thing you do is to what? Convert to each what? Auxiliary. So the auxiliary equation here is, you convert this to what? M squared plus the y by dx is m minus 10 multiplied y is 1. 10 multiplied by 1. And now we know that this is a quadratic equation. You can use a method of your choice. But here, we make use of factorization method, except the function is not factorizable. So let's try it out first with factorization method. And now to do that, we multiply the leading term with the constant. And this would have given us minus 10 m squared. Now, all we need to do is to get the product, two factors whose product will give us minus 10 m squared. You must know all two principal laws that you must understand. For the product of two factors to be positive, both must be positive or negative. Likewise, for the product, number 2, for the product of two factors to be negative, one of the factors must be negative. So now we have negative 10 here. Now the first factor of the 4 factors of negative 10. Are we there? Okay, now all we need to do now is to sum up these factors here and see the one that will give us the middle term here. Don't forget that the middle term here is plus 3. Are we there? Yes, that's the coefficient of the middle term, which is n, is plus 3. And this is what controls the factor we are going to pick among these 4 factors here, because we don't need all these 4 factors, we need only one. Now to have that done, let's add up these factors together. Okay? This guy will give us minus 9, minus 10 plus 1. This one will give us plus 9. This one will give us minus 3, and this one will give us plus 3. And this value, this function we have here, or the equation, the middle term is plus 3. So we will also go with the last one, where we have positive 5m and negative 2m. Mathematically, this would have given us m squared minus 2m. Anyone can call first, plus 5m minus 10m equal to 0. Are we there? Now, the next thing we are quickly going to do here is to group this term into 2 categories. The first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. Now, between the first 2 terms, what is common? The only thing that is common here is m for the first 2 terms. So, pull down m. Now, m squared divided by m, we have m left, minus 2m divided by m, 2 is left. Plus, now the last 2 terms, the first term here is 5m, while the last term is minus 10. So m is not common, but 5 is common because 5 is a factor of 10. So we put down 5 and repeat the same bracket we had before. That's all. Now that we have successfully factorized and what we have in the first bracket is equal to what we have in the second bracket, all we need to do now is to what? Pick one of the equal brackets, then also pick or collate the multiplication, include what? M and plus 5. So we have M plus 5 equal to 0. That's all. Now for the product of two, this is another theory. For the product of two functions to be 0, one of the functions must be 0. But we do not know whether it's the first or the second. So we also use the law of probability. There is either the first bracket is equal to 0 or the second bracket is equal to 0. So from the first bracket, we therefore have that M is equal to positive 2 or M is equal to negative 5. When minus 2 crosses from left to right, it becomes plus 2. And when plus 5 crosses from left to right, it becomes minus 5. Are we there? Now, finally, we have that M is equal to 2 or minus 5. Examine these results for M. The two results we have, they are real, number 1, and they are different, number 2. Therefore, when we take the first one, where M1 is equal to 2 and M2 is equal to minus 5. It's as simple as this. So if this is understood, what else? Just recall the general solution that this is A M1x plus B M2x. And y automatically become A M1 is 2 plus B M2 is minus 5x. This is the answer to this very question. Guys, it is very simple. Very, very simple. So guys, all you need to do at this point, if you have not understand this, have the belief that you will understand it. So get back to the very starting point and watch the video over and over again. By the time you watch it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, you will understand it by force. You will understand. So take your time to watch the video over and over again until you understand it before you now digress to the next tutorial video. Now guys, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not done so. Ensure you hit the notification bell for more exciting videos when we uploaded. And also guys, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and make your necessary comment. We love you guys. The link to the next video, you can find it at the description below. See you guys in the next class.